All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. Uh, what you're going to have to do is just kind of not let that feed on itself. The more they do that, the more they're going to do that. They'll get encouraged, and again, they're causing a public safety hazard. And again, the more they do that, the more aggressive they might be becoming, right, or become. Right. Thank you, Lynch. So again, it could end up getting pretty bad. Somebody could end up dead. So what you do is you gather all your intelligence, or as much intelligence as you can, before you go in. You don't have to be on that street to gather intelligence, but some things need to be there. So you're going to have to just kind of in and out real quick. You can do it several times a day. I'm not saying you have to do it in the morning, but your riskiest moves you'll do early in the morning, right? And then you just when it's kind of a sure thing, you swoop in, leave some people outside, like that half moon if they can in the front of the property. Go in, a couple officers, whatever number you think you need. As soon as the detainee and the officer, escort officer, detaining the individual comes out, and again, sometimes you'll have two, whatever it is, and then you call outside real quick, or even just put your head out, whatever it is you want to do, right? And you come outside, and they're ready to fall into place to protect you and move you to the vehicle. Again, it's going to get to the point where they start rioting like they did last time. I brought that up, months ago. If it does, again, I'm not saying it's going to. So that's why you kind of don't give it time to form. Just in, bam, out, right? And then that way you get into that riotous mentality, and then you don't have to fight the riot. So you're going to have to work with electronic surveillance for some areas. You just kind of sit back and look what's going on, and then you can even follow the person into the house, maybe. Right. As far as, watching them go in. You might already have it now. I don't know. Right. So, always be prepared with an executive protection formation when they're doing that. They'll get carried away, at least in executive protection formation, you have people to hands on and they're ready for it. If you don't, you can end up, having to maybe even shoot somebody. All right. So if you put the executive protection people out there, you're even protecting the people that might actually try to muscle the detention scenario. Right. But if you don't have that, they might get inside and then somebody pulls their gun and shoots them, right, because they feel that threatened. Or again, other things like pepper spray and everything else. So if you look secure, then you might be, you might have less interaction with that type of thing. Again, if you have a big detention scenario in a particular area, like could be a couple houses on a street or even one house, right? You can block the street off. Right? So it'll be more difficult for them to get to the detention area. So you kind of just, you can't completely stop them. Whoa, you belong on the street? Well, okay, let me see somebody. So if you're doing it as quick as you can, you can get most of it done or get out of there before they get down the street. Right, right. You go in, the vehicle goes in, then you block off both sides of the street. Now there might be people along that street, and you can do, I think, in that scenario, except hold them at bay as you normally do. Well, if you cut off that street and they come from another street, or it's the congressman or whoever it was, yeah, the alderman, and he comes in, tries to get to the street. You say, "Well, can I see some ID?" Say, "Alderman, but hang on, sir. You identify yourself. We'll let you in because there's a government operation going on down the street." I mean, you could block them, but you can just stalling them probably would work as long as you work quick, right? Thank you. Well, because you got government people, you know how they can get, and right. You want to minimize anything anyway with anybody, but when you're down the street detaining, you can sometimes set up vehicles on each end of the street, and then anybody hitting that street has to wait. But you could just also just until you positively identify them, right? And of course, you might get in an argument. I don't have to identify them. Well, that's fine with you. You'll argue with them all day because you don't want them going down to the house. Right. So again, maybe you can have it all detained quickly. You might have 4 or 5 in a single house, right? Maybe even more. Right. Thank you, Larry. But you have a lot of officers. You just got to get smarter in the thing that confronts you. At least 2. Obviously, you want at least 2 officers for some sort of protection of the detention scenario when they have those things. But 4 probably works better. And again, of course, if you zigzag through the community, you just don't set a pattern. You're on one side of the city and then on the other. Like now, you're just working certain sides of the city all at once. So you set it up so the first turn up is on the south side of the city. The second turn up or whatever it is, detention area is on the north side of the city. Right, so they'll be alert in the south side. Then you get out of there, you go to the north side real quick, or maybe even to a suburb. Right. See, it's going to be a little bit more hectic, I guess, kind of, but not really. You probably get more rest between each arrest. Right. You just have to drive a little bit. So you just get out of the area, go in, you're seen, you're detaining, you get out of there, and then, of course, somebody has to take them to wherever it is, the courthouse or wherever it is you take them, right to your offices, your detention facility. But then you travel somewhere else. Right. There'll be more driving, but they're probably not going to be so alerted, so far away. Right. So again, you do it south side, maybe probably even go to the north side suburb, like Bolingbrook or something, or wherever it is. Right. Thank you, Larry. And you do something east side suburb, and maybe then west side, in the city, in the afternoon or something. Right. Because I'm sure you were doing, one section of the city at a time, if you could, Right. And that's if that continues and it looks like it's going to be something that you don't want to deal with. Right. So just stagger your operational areas. Don't set a pattern. So they'll come out and they'll do that to you. But you'll be out of the area and they'll have to set it up somewhere else. Now maybe they have it citywide. Right. So again, it's only in that area, but still, right, there's no need to, you could just once a day go in there whenever you decide, whatever time of day you decide. Make it as sure thing as you can. Right. So I'm just, tickled pink because every time Trump was, I think, I may be wrong, but I think every time I did my tax. Yes. Oh, maybe I wasn't. So what I was saying is, I don't know if I was on there or not. I was in another window. I forgot. For share information so that everybody knows where you're going to go when any situation. Like if somebody does this, we're going to do that. Right. Don't fly by the seat of your pants, especially when they're moving those organizations against you. Right. You may have a favorite defensive move that you use. The marshals may have a favorite defensive move they use. Speak it out so you know at what point you go for the gun, what point you go for the spray. Again, if they get too aggressive, somebody could get shot. Just a shame, but that's you know, they're the ones that are choosing to be in the line of fire there to and causing an issue. Right. Well, because once they start doing it, it feeds on itself, and then they might feel froggy putting hands on, right, to try to free somebody, and officer might feel threatened. But again, speak it out so everybody knows. Oh no, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, right? And then somebody may have a better defensive maneuver or something that works better for them, and you try it and you like it. So again, everybody on the same sheet of music, everybody knows what's going to happen, or at least they believe they know what's going to happen, what's going to be used, and right, won't be startled or something like that, and then go for their gun, or again, a lot of planning and nothing in depth, just if they come in, we're going to use these types of maneuvers on them, right? Or we'll take down this way. Right. We're going to use 2 officers, 1 officer, 3 officers, whatever it is. Right. But the key is you just zoom in there, and again, if you're concerned with them getting to the house, then you close off the street real quick. And if they're on that street, nothing you can probably do except keep them at bay at the house. But at least you won't have people tromping down the street. You say, well, the street's closed, sir, we're doing something down here. Or just say, well, as soon as you identify yourself, I can let you down the street because we're here to arrest some people. And then if they get an argument about not showing their ID, you say, well, that's okay. You don't have to show me your ID, but I can't let you down the street. And I go, well, I haven't committed a crime. Well, how do I know that? I'm looking for people who committed a crime. So you just talk, you talk to people for a while, and all of a sudden they got the detainee in the vehicle, and all right, see ya. Now you can walk down the street. Right. And don't be aggressive if you don't have to, but, right. Kind of go round and round until you get the detainees out of the area. So, right. Again, if they're going to mount these movements against you, that's dangerous, a public safety risk. So you're allowed to shut the street down for a moment. Again, you can't chase the residents out, but right. Thank you, Larry. I agree, Larry. So hopefully it goes peaceful and right. Apparently they're going to spit in your food in Mexico. That's why I don't go out to eat. They'll spit in your food in America. So I don't know what the big deal is that they do. I mean, they probably already do it in Mexico. But then one girl was like, well, if you go to Mexico, they'll spit in your food or drink because you're doing this, deportation stuff. But, in my opinion, they're probably already doing it. Or, the other thing is they do it here in the United States. You don't go to Mexico. I don't go out to eat. Remember the videos that used to circulate? I had enough when those videos circulated. Nobody's going to spit in my food. Right. 100%, sir. The worst place you go is a cop joint, right? That way they know whose food they're spitting in, right? Thank you much. Actually, if I was a cartel, I'd pay people off in the cop joint. Drug the cops. Right. Remember, not all the drugs make you woozy. They just make you. They'll use drugs that make you lose inhibitions. I think they may have used that on Bob because he couldn't think about not going there. Correct, sir. Thank you, sir. So it makes it a little more complicated, but not a big deal. Yeah, I don't know. You may have just gone there to see what they would do, right? Because I'm sure you have wiretaps and stuff. I don't even know if that was because they said, "Oh, you fled." You may not have actually had anybody to detain. You just wanted to see what they did because you want to test it before you're around the real deal, right? I mean, I don't know that, but I'm thinking, well, it could have been just a test to see what they were going to do when you showed up, right? Correct. Then you have to care for your officers. This is a lot of stress on them that they can't see. Again, they're being blinded. People are cursing them with Mexican, El Morte curses. All right. So again, this really does affect you. Don't let anybody, run deep state operations against anybody else on these task forces. They'll get like that. All of a sudden, some female agent says something about a male agent, and the other male agent gets offended because he wanted to have sex with that one girl. I mean, really, this is really what goes on in law enforcement. And so keep the discipline, and then they'll run that person into the ground, while he's not around. Right. Next thing you know, that you need that guy. You need to depend on that guy for something. He's not available. He's all cursed off. That's reality. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Again, these type of things, it's not just to it protects the detainee and the surrounding community because they're getting themselves in trouble. So if we have a plan and we execute it, sharply, we won't have to have bigger issues. Could cause it, an immigrant neighborhood to have some trouble, where somebody gets injured. Right. Thank you, Larry. Right, the detainee, like I think in one of the scenarios, the detainee got in trouble. because they encourage the detainee, right? You know, they'll be encouraging the detainee to flee or something like that, and he gets killed. You know, I think somewhere that happened. Again, we're going to try to keep these things in order because they're going to try to move them into chaos. I really don't get it. A lot of them are the people you're picking up actually have been ordered removed and things like that. Right? And they're part of criminal organizations. I mean, if again, the removal operations have been going on under Biden and everyone else also. So again, these things are just standard ICE procedure. Again, I don't believe that one guy in question that got released was actually going to show up to his detention hearing, or his I don't know, his petition for amnesty hearing or whatever, because he committed a crime. He's worried about that, right? That's why he didn't show up to the court. He committed a crime. He thought he was going to be deported. So he was on the run. He'll probably show up now, I guess. I don't know. He's not. No, he's not detained. I mean, doesn't have any conditions of release. It's interesting where that goes. President Trump needs to fix the immigration judge issue. Eating something here. Be done in a second. President Trump needs to appoint new immigration judges that are serious about protecting the United States. We also need them for these task forces. We need to have immigration judges available for any issue that requires an immigration judge. Essentially, if they're here, even if he has a hearing, again, that guy committed a crime. I think an immigration judge, a self-respecting immigration judge would have ordered, that person either to have the hearing that day or within a couple of days. It would probably order them detained, right? And then had the hearing. Right? May have ordered them detained until the hearing. But you pulled in a magistrate. Magistrates can, they can be funny. 1% there. So again, if we so essentially he could, I think, increase the number. I'm not sure how it works, but national emergency may allow him to increase the number of immigration judges. And one of the bases would be they're assigned to the task force. So the state task force can just bring the person in and bring them before an immigration judge. Again, there's nothing wrong with bringing them before a judge. in these situations. And that may be the end order anyway. The judges may say, hey, you have to at least, even if you're going to deport them, you have to bring them in front of an immigration judge to be seen. So then you need these immigration judges so they can run them past them. And I say, okay, bye. Right. Or I guess there could be some scenarios where the judge would say no. But again, you need to be serious about, the judge, you have to find the right judges. Right. Well, it's just, if you're going to indefinitely say there's a communicable disease and not let them see a judge and just turn them around, the court might say, well, I don't know. And then like Pam Bondi's person could be ready and they'll say, well, Your Honor, we could set up a system where an immigration judge sees them real quick. Then you discuss what the judge would require from that type of system. Right. Well, if you go in there and you don't have that and the judge rules it down, then you're SOL. So you have contingency arguments. Right. See, it's all the same. Right. Thank you, Larry. So you can say, Your Honor, we have a couple other scenarios that we could use. That was our preferred one, but thank you, Larry. Well, because just in the United States, that's generally how it is. You see a judge at least once. Right. I think maybe the judges would kind of see that. Or they may not see it and say no to that particular one, communicable disease. And then you say, well, Your Honor, we could run them past an immigration judge real quick and they could decide. Right. But you can't have somebody that's just going to say, hey, no, they stay in the United States, no matter what. Right. That's what's going on with a lot of these immigration appointments. Right. So we need to figure this thing out and get it all right. I mean, until the judge says no, you're allowed, obviously, to just send them right back. And the judge might agree because the judge knows the judge could be from Kansas City and there's tuberculosis everywhere. So much tuberculosis, do you go get a massage or not? Right. Thank you, Larry. And the scenario that I thought up, 2016, 15, I don't even remember when, was that, right, pissed me off. They were using organized crime entities, Mexican organized crime entities, to do the deep state thing. So I said, we'll just turn them around at the border. That's it. We don't want you here doing deep state stuff. Right. I said, we'll put judges on the border. They'll see a judge and then they'll go right back across the border. They can wait down there for the court hearing. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, I think that was my idea too. Now that I think about it, I remember saying that one. You people owe me a lot. Right. That was my idea. Now I remember. So we need to start regular conversation with Maduro. We need to start developing a relationship. So maybe we can discuss some things. Just need to normalize relations the best we can. We agree. I mean, this shit's going on long enough. I mean, let's just end every conflict we can. See if we get Kim to come to the White House. Right. It changed the paradigm to whatever level it does. Right. Not sure what you're doing with Putin there. Hopefully somebody's talking to him. Thank you there. Marco Rubio's going somewhere. I don't remember where it was. But I know it's not the Putin. We want to get that thing over with. Thank you, Lara. Again, there's a ton of immigrants here. It'll take a long time to board them. But again, we're looking for the worst that work for now. And again, some of these people are in jobs that we don't really want. Again, if they're criminal, that's one thing. But, that we really don't want to upset the apple cart if we don't have to. Again, before we get to them, it'd be, if we were looking at doing criminal immigrants, it'd probably be a while, and gang members and stuff like that. I'm just tickled that I got my package. Not sure what happened there, but it's already in Kansas, so the delivery date isn't real. Right. I mean, there's a chance that could be delivered Monday, I guess. It really should be, considering where it's at. Right. I mean, it's here. I think that's the actual station that serves my delivery area. And I got there, I think this morning. I'm sorry. So hopefully. It's kind of a one-off order. Not who I usually order from, but again, these worked before. I was just at wit's end as to which shoes to buy. I was hoping that even if it was a little bit more expensive, I was hoping that the podiatrist would say these shoes. So I went, but I think because that's a kind of individual thing. So if I bought, he said buy these and it didn't work, with the inserts, they're expensive. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna have to pay all that much for them. I have, the way my insurance is structured. I do pay a lot of money for insurance every month, just to let you know. And I don't even use half of my insurance. I haven't used vision insurance in so long. I got to get to that. Right. I haven't been in a dentist in a long time. I don't use that, but I pay for it. And then I also pay for I pay full Medicare, whatever that fee is, and then I pay full regular insurance on top of it. So again, I do pay for what they do for me, right? But that particular one, you have up to 6 months to have them reshaped and all that. If they don't work, they'll rescan you and have them reworked. So, we'll go out on a ledge for that. Yeah, and the Kansas rules for taxes work for me because I'm a retiree, government retiree, so happy with that. 100%. Well, that's cool. Those See, I'd hate to enter this contest for both these Corvettes because I'd love to keep them and I can't. I'd have to get the cash, Got a black and red, black with red trim. The Scoops red for a. What year is that? It's like a 60. I can't see the vents. Oh, it's like a 63 or 64 convertible. Actually, that was a popular, 64. That's a big block. That was a popular year for the hardtop because it's a split window. I think that year's. I know 63 is. I'm not sure if the 64 is. I'm trying to figure out what the big block is here. We'll pay $60,000 for the federal prize tax. This planet didn't make good on anything, pretty much. Like a big inside car guy. Oh, a 502 cubic inch crate engine and a 64 vat. Wow. Black interior. Red, factory scoop, but red. So again, you see all this. I've been into that since I was a kid, and of course, I can get it anywhere in life. I couldn't get to those, but it's like torment from Satan. Because the world changed when it comes to vehicles. Everybody's something everywhere, right? But that's okay. I'm with God. No, like I said, it doesn't work to leave these numbers here. Again, that's like one of the weird things. You run into people, like I said, Trump shouldn't freak out. We run into people when we were doing fugitive stuff that were like, liberal college students running like, I don't know, something like charity in the ghetto, but like, people were hanging out were like drug users. So it was just weird. Well, they're probably inappropriate relationships going on. Thank you much. I mean, you can kind of tell. Right. You run into these people all the time. I mean, they don't have a clue in reality. Well, these numbers doesn't work. The numbers work for criminals more than they do for anyone else. You may find people that have a good life. They're just everyday Joes. And again, of course, we're not trying to focus on them, but there's so many people that didn't make it. Right. 100% Larry. And it's kind of selfish to say that it doesn't have to be put under control because, I don't even know what their excuses are, to tell you the truth. Right. And again, so many of them don't even show up to the hearings. Right. Right then and there, you're supposed to be deported, removed, removal hearing. Or not even a hearing. You don't even get a removal hearing. I guess you could appeal and they could do it, but generally, of course, now they're not going to do it. And they may not have, under Biden, if you don't show up to your hearings, you get a removal order. Right. But it's not. But what you're saying is like I'm being callous and I should have that happen to me, or something like that. But it has nothing to do with that. It's again, like I've explained. Right. There's tons of people that are having issues that move through the same system. And again, the goal is to pick up the home nation. So there's not much, like if it became that there wasn't much difference between Mexico and the United States, very few people would come up here because they'd say, hey, I'm having a great life here. So that's really should be the goal. And is the goal really. I mean, there's so much, blocking us from getting there. So I used to follow Mexico real close, all this. Well, and maybe, I don't have the energy to power it anymore, but, you get in, this additional train systems and all those type of things. The goal was to bring the quality of life up. Right. Thank you much. Again, they killed me, and I can't. I don't have the power or the focus to get all that stuff forward. But again, this has always been the focus too. You can't incentivize this madness that's going on, and it's not really immigration. Right. It's insanity to a certain degree. Again, many of you people that are undocumented immigrants are not protected from murder because we may not know that you're missing and somebody may not report you missing. Again, obviously people coming up and they haven't even been here at all, trying to come here have been murdered, have been raped, murdered. So we think of those people and we do this so that doesn't happen. Again, you may be lucky because your journey up here worked for you. Well, it's just like using fentanyl. Every so often somebody dies, should we let everybody use fentanyl because you didn't die from using fentanyl? Right. Thank you, Larry. So I was pretty surprised to see my package up here. This doesn't make sense. I think it was here this morning. Well, the order called for it to be here Monday, but she sent it SurePost, and I upgraded it to regular. So I ended up paying like $27 for shipping. Like, but I was like, I just need to get these things up here if they work, and that's it. Saying the delivery's Wednesday, but it's arrived in Kansas, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the service station. Like it doesn't have to, like sometimes it comes into Kansas City, then it goes to another location like Lenexa, and then it hits the third location, which is the one that services here. But it looks like it's there. 9:42 a.m. Again, it'd be strange if it doesn't get here Monday, right? Which is what I wanted. Regular. Now, hopefully they work, and I don't have to change them out. I called Blue Cross Blue Shield, and apparently I said, so I'm not really going to pay much of anything, if at all. And she said, correct. So hopefully that works. They owe me anyway for all that nonsense in Seminole County, Florida. I think that's where it was. Lake Mary at the where's that Orlando location? I can't remember where it was. I remember that place. That was the last place I stayed at Lake Mary. Was that Lake Mary? Maybe it was. I can't remember. I came out of that side road. Maybe that was it. I don't know. Just a shame they wouldn't stop. And again, I'll go to the gym and like a woman will start paying attention to me, but it's usually them. It's like so hard. And I knew it was them at a certain point because it almost comes up magical. That's what they try to make it seem like. So you'll bite on it. So this one woman, I'm riding my bike. I stopped going to the gym for whatever. I started riding my bicycle. I'm passing the gym with my bicycle. Like she's a personal trainer or something like that. And she steps outside the gym. She just happens to be stepping outside the gym and doing something. And then she looks at me. I'm like, yeah. So again, they're just creating that bullshit 24/7 for decades. Dude. I mean, I go out there now, they'll do the same thing. I mean, somebody's paying them. Dirty, 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 dirty. Correct. So again, there it is. So the lady that, I was speaking to the upgrade about, she was a very nice person. I think she was from India. She's very articulate, very, very detail oriented. I should have told her to be. Do you ever think about being a cop? So I told her to be a cop. Yeah, I used to try to recruit young people for law enforcement. Nice. Now, somebody like me, the reality is what I go into a community and the cops find me. I don't have to find them, and then they try to help me. That's what's supposed to happen, right? Regular. You'd have got more help than I even gave you. I gave you tons of help. Right. So you have to work psychological. I'm not telling you to deceive people, but you have to work psychological programs like in the market. You have to build them up, like the Japanese business school or classes, like military. Not like military, but you have to do psychological operations to encourage them to believe that it's going to work. And then you should put together programs where it works. So again, it's everybody involved. Everybody has their part. Again, this is a form of patriotism, right? Everybody, be a patriot. Don't destroy the market by chickening it out and turning the other way and then selling everything. Right. And then the business people, they have to say, yeah, they're going to drop the prices because, it's patriotic to drop the prices. Right. And then use some other stuff, some other incentives. Right. Thank you, Larry. Because if you study the market, like I say, it's just psychology, and they'll run from something stupid when they don't even have to do it and sell everything off. Then something's valid and they just stick through it, but its market stays up the whole time, right? And that's where we've been. 100%. If I had power, I'd do more healing, but I'm really down really far. But if I had a better life, maybe I could do more for you. Again, Hashem won't let me. I have to wait for Hashem to say do it, right? And sometimes Hashem doesn't say it, I just know it and I do it, right? Right now, Hashem's not letting me do it. There are several reasons that could be, and I'm sure it's because you're all evil. Thank you, Larry. No, I'd have had a great life. If you were a woman who was available and you bought into their bullshit, I'm a great husband. I really am. you just screwed yourselves. Right. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. I was trying to get back into that mode because that's it's one of my identity. You know what I mean? The husband, the church guy. The guy that brings outstanding dishes to the men's breakfast and to the potluck Sunday things. The guy that brings people home for lunch, the new people home for lunch, new people in the church. And I'm not a meat eater now, but got like 3 chickens in the oven. All the sides. We all say grace at a big table. Yeah, the Lord blessed us with a really big cherry table. And that's what when we could, we brought people in from church to sit around the table. Right. After the service, especially new people. Correct. No, they're devils, man. Out and out devils. If I'd known anything about devils really, never would have been able to do it. They'd have ran away from me so quick it wouldn't have even been funny. 100%. But again, they're going to hell. Let's all laugh. They laughed when they tortured all of us and killed all those people that committed suicide or killed their family and then committed suicide. Let's just laugh at them because they're going to hell. They hate me. That's their problem. Thank you, Larry. So again, I'm here minding all this that I've been speaking about. So maybe we'll get some good stuff going in Chicago. The idea is if they get too far in what they're doing, that encourages them to do more, and we don't want them to get themselves into a violent confrontation with law enforcement, right? Because we have ways of dealing with that are could be life ending, right? 100%, Larry. A big part of this is cutting it off at the border. It really is. But again, at a certain point, they're going to develop other strategies. It's just the way it works. So again, it's like corrections really teaches you a lot. Everybody should be a correctional officer for at least 2 years. All right. Because they just they just come up with resourceful plans to circumvent security like every day. Right. Like I was a good guy. I mean, I didn't give a shit that they had food. I mean, it got out of control. Then we had to deal with it. Or if they were using it for prostitution, pay for a prostitute or something like that. Again, it would be a gay prostitute, but right. So I was in BOP, and I walked into this one building in the education center, and I think I walked in a male prostitute scenario, but there was probably no way to prove it. And I just walked on like nothing happened. Like, not today. Well, I think they had it set up like the one guy was drawing the other guy, or something. It was like it looked like an art set, like they were doing art, but I don't think they were. Right. So I'm like, no, I just, I think I was out looking for like dangerous stuff like alcohol and drugs. And I just didn't feel like, because that's why I go through that building to see, what rooms I feel like might have something in it. It's like the education building, right? Thank you, Larry. Not today. You all owe me. I'm out of here. Right. You got to know when to hold them, Right. You run into stuff in corrections all the time. Part of being in corrections is to know what to. Again, it's like a management tool. Like, they'll say something like, "Oh, they can only have one of this container, one of that container," and who gives a shit if they have two? If they're okay people, So that's generally what happens. Is if they mess up, then we go in and we take everything but what they're allowed to have, right? Otherwise, you don't have a management tool. Like, that's why I could stand down 300 inmates. I get in there. So like chicken night in a prison is like insane. And it isn't like it's all black people. Like, everybody loves chicken, right? Fried chicken. Everybody loves it, right? And they're some of the best cooks in prison, I'm telling you. Especially the campers. Campers could always cook. Right? Good people. Good people outside of their crime, There were a bunch of Jewish guys, because it's New York and New Jersey mainly is the people that were in that facility. So the camp was a bunch of Jewish guys, and like I used to say, these guys, don't piss off Mickey Mouse. They you get a lot of time if you make fake. Well, they used to back then. These two brothers, they were good-looking guys. I mean, it was just a shame for their life. They probably could have went far in an honest life. They had that look, in the business world, but they made counterfeit Walt Disney tickets, and I mean, they threw the book at them. I think it was like 15 years or something. I'm like, oh my God, right? But they were in a camp, you know. I mean, they were living in the camp life. I mean, they were that good, good people, you know. Really, I mean, it's stupid something, you know. Right. But boy, they could cook too. They made some fabulous lasagna. Those campers could cook. Right. No, I wouldn't put up with BS. But I mean, why? I mean, they're in prison. Why stick the stones to them? You know, I mean, right. Unless they want a buck, you know. Correct. %. So it's like, you're really like, you're not in their house, it's your house, but it's just like going into somebody's living quarters, you know? I mean, right. Certain level of respect, but I could walk up to 300 inmates and say, get in there, and they go in. Right. On chicken night yet. We didn't have any locks on our doors, so it's a mess. Right. So I'm like I call the lieutenant, and I'm like, I got these guys who won't go back inside. No response at all. So I'm like, I can get these guys back inside, right? So I start walking up to a woman. Okay, give me your name, or go inside. He went, and they started going inside, and then I look back, and the lieutenant's like peeking around the corner at me, like, ah. It would be nice to have some backup. Right. That was like the hairiest prison in the world because there was no locks on the build, the village store, the resident, what do they call it, the barracks. They were military barracks, just Fort Dix, right? So if they wanted to riot, they could riot. They burnt down a couple buildings. But what happens is if you don't manage it right, that's the kind of shit they do. But again, the lieutenant doesn't go, oh yeah, you're tough on them, that's great. Your lieutenant and captain are like, oh God. Right. It's not like giving in to them. It's their house, kind of. It's where they live. You just respect it a little bit, and they won't like throw shit at you or piss at you. Again, I'm not letting them bring drugs in. I'm not letting them get drunk. Again, the idea is when they get drunk, they do stuff like try to climb the fence. We had a guy lucky he wasn't shot. Just so drunk he started climbing the fence. Probably got homesick, Right. Thank you, Orange. Thank you, Larry. I think he was just too drunk actually to climb the fence. They had the perimeter vehicle and the shotgun out and all that, but he just was probably just too drunk to do anything but fall over. It's just some white guy, probably some stupid drug charge. Like, like hippie white guy, I guess, whatever, or grunge. I guess back then it was kind of like grunge, right? Yeah, possession of 1,000 hits of LSD or something. Right? Thank you, Larry. But it always amazed me, like, because when somebody's an informant, or I wouldn't say they're an informant. This guy wasn't an informant, but what it was he appreciated the respect. And he was from actually, I think somewhere around Kensington. He was a Spanish guy, so we talk about cars a little bit. This is how people they'll tell you stuff. So you're having a conversation, and the other inmates know you're talking about cars, right? Well, when the other inmates are around, they won't stop. They wouldn't stop conversation and say, hey, look, I'm going to tell you something. They would just tell it to you in the middle of the conversation, and then they'd continue the conversation somewhere else. Like they told me about dirty staff and stuff like that. It's pretty trippy. Just again, if I wasn't a good guy, they wouldn't have told me that. Right. Pretty much. Or at least, respect. Again, sometimes you have to search. Sometimes you have to confiscate. Right. And, some people get mad at that, but it's like, hey, look, I didn't even confiscate. I just searched and the dude got mad. Right. He was like a biker dude had been in for like a long time and had worked his way to low custody. And he got mad. And I'm like, what? All I did was, I didn't even take anything. I just did the search like I had to, Right. You have to search so many cells. And I'm sure he was a senior guy. I think he was like a plumber or something in whatever that thing was called where they do the trades. Right. And then he had like an end rooms. There was only a couple of them. So he had, a lot of respect. But, I got to search the rooms. And he may have done that just to try to punk me out so I wouldn't do it again, Right. I was like, yeah, I don't get it. I'm not supposed to search your room. That's all I did. I didn't take anything. Right. Well, you have to do a report and where you search and all that. Right. So I used to have there was a standard flashlight. It was the MagSafe rechargeable, and they're only so long, right? So they called me flashlight because again, I'm not stupid. Walking around at night in that place, walking through. Some people get bashed. They got bashed with a pool stick. This one guy that was like, he'd been like an Air Force MP or an Army MP, and he was just putting the stones to him, and they were like, he walked through the hallway one day, and somebody's waiting at a doorway, and they bashed him with a pool stick. But I had a flashlight, and I don't remember how many cells. It was like the maximum number of cells. I mean, I was just a short guy. I was like almost, it probably went down past my knee. It's like 5 cells or something, 5 D cells. They called me flashlight. But yeah, if I needed that thing, it was at the ready. Right. Because at BOP, they don't give you anything. You just, fisticuffs if you don't have something like that. Right. But I found out my nickname was Flashlight. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, the regular flashlights just don't work like a billy club or anything. That thing would definitely work like a billy club. And again, I wasn't looking to hit somebody, but if it came down to it, the thing was long enough to use like a billy club, right? And again, it probably you had second thoughts too as to whether I'm good at that one. I was always good at that one. Like, should we or shouldn't we? Nah. I'm sure they got mad at me. I got a lot of their alcohol, right? And they made big batches. Had some in the gym, some of the units. So like I said, at a certain point in my life as a parent, I should have went into Border Patrol. Close to the military type of thing. Right. Stuck in a marsh, so was a bunch of idiots. I never dreamed that they would do that to me. Again, because they take your psychology and destroy it, man. And it's like science, it's CIA science. Right. and they reward everybody. I mean, it was obvious. Like Hashem will show me stuff, so I figured out who. Like I didn't know anybody, and nobody told me this, but I figured out who was promoted and stuff. Like they promoted him after they killed me. So I go, unless this was a setup, but I go to the hospital in Santa Fe emergency room for something, I don't know what I had, flu or, stomach trouble, because I had some stomach trouble. I was there. Again, it was probably for them drugging me. Right. So I go there, and I said something about the Marshal Service. This woman goes, yeah, my uncle was an inspector in the Marshal Service. He had the same thing happen to him. And he said he got out for like a few months, a couple years or something. And she said that like the political office changed, and his buddies all got back into power, and then he went back in. So his came out real well. He was able to get back in, right? Thank you, Larry. All I want to do is get me. Like if I'd got married, my whole life would have changed. It wouldn't have been. It just been me and her. I mean, we would have just, been running partners. Again, back when I got married, there was not a lot of electric doors. You had to hold it, open the door. I held the door for my wife. I mean, every time. If I missed it, it's because she did something that I missed it. All right. So it's a funny thing. Her and I were at Fort Riley, like, was it Junction? I think it was Junction City is where the Dillons was. And we walk in Dillons, and my wife just starts laughing her ass off. I'm like, what are you laughing at? She goes, look at this guy and this woman. Look, I'm the woman and you're the guy. But they were like, my age now or even a little older. So it was like an older couple, a Korean woman and a white guy. Right? Yeah, we didn't last that long. All right. Thank you, Marge. I mean, it's just horrible that they would even think of doing this to me, knowing that I had got healed so many times and was well again, right? But somebody was paying. You even use government money. Can you imagine that? You imagine how mad God is at this country for using tax money to harm me and other people under the fabricated color of law? So again, just be careful out there. Think through these things. Make sure you plan things ahead of time, especially when you have these organizations out there trying to thwart you and thwart the operation. They can get carried away and it can get real ugly. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise